Black people have a history of being devalued.
Hey, stop having a different set of standards. Don't have a different set of rules because of what I look like. Get to know me.
But it's always a fight. And we see it from our perspective. But I've learned that every person, every race has some issues that they have to deal with. We're not the only ones that have to go through a negative experience.
Welcome everyone to our community conversation here in Cairo, Illinois. So let's start off our conversation with a common question. And Lynn, I respect what you're saying, that you're tired of some of this, but we still have people that are still trying to understand. And so our first question is really just, what does Black Lives mean to you, and how can you help our community better understand what it means?
Black Lives Matters means to me that the people of this generation have also got sick and tired of being sick and tired, as Fannie Lou said back in 1960-something. It also means that what it does not mean is that all lives don't matter. I've told people for years, just because I'm pro-Black does not mean I'm anti-white. I'm pro-human being. There is one race, it's called the human race. But I do recognize that because of where we have been as a society, the history, the culture, all of these pieces that we're going to be talking about tonight, they exist. And Black Lives Matters is a theme for that. So it started not about policing, it started because of outrage over the Trayvon Martin verdict. And it's been very interesting to watch how a group started by three American women of African descent, I don't say African American anymore either, started this, and how it has built fuel. So that's what I think of when I hear the term.
Anybody
else?
else?
I think for me, from my perspective, when I hear the term, immediately I begin to differentiate between an organization as opposed to a movement or a philosophy, a mindset. And what I'm referring to is that sometimes I think we can get lost in those terms, and we really forget what's going on. And I agree with Lynn that when we talk about, or I talk about Black Lives Matters, I'm not saying anything derogatory, anything negative towards any other race. I'm not suggesting that somehow because of our African heritage that we are better than, or we've arrived at a certain station in this nation. But I think what it does say is to respect me as you respect every other person in this nation. I think that one of the things, and this is just my humble opinion, I'm not a barrister, but to me there are times when I feel that the laws are not always applied equally, but that they can be administered in an arbitrary and capricious manner, particularly based upon the ethnicity of an individual. And when we see these atrocities happening, I'd be the last person to say that that policemen are evil people. I've had several of my family members are former law enforcement. To me, they were my family. I loved them. That was their job. That's what they did. But I think that there's so many things happening that would not happen if people had a level of respect whereby you treated everybody on the block just like everybody else. And I think that's what the outcry is that, hey, stop having a different set of standards. Don't have a different set of rules because of what I look like. Get to know me. Treat me the same way you would this person who perhaps is Caucasian or Latino, a person who's of Asian descent. Don't immediately see me and think that I'm on my way to trouble, as some, infamous law enforcement person back in the 80s said in Southern Illinois, that when you see a group of more than 2 African-American males, pull them over because they're either coming from trouble or they're going to start trouble. And I think that's where you get all of this. Hey, wait a minute, you treat me like you would if there were 3 other people who are not people of color in that car. Our lives matter as much as anyone else, and our lives should matter to you as well as your life mattering to me.
Yeah, going off of, what Pastor Barnett said, I totally feel like the movement versus the organization gets mixed up a lot of times, and I feel like sometimes that can be purposeful, just to cause more confusion. But to me, when I say Black Lives Matter, when I think of that, I think about our history. Black people have a history of being devalued, and today, Black Lives Matter is not a divisive statement at all. It's really one of unity, and it's like, hey, we're speaking up and we're, going against this devaluation. We're saying, like, all people matter, but throughout history, our policies, our, cultural, our culture, shows that or reflects that Black lives don't matter to everyone. And a lot of times they don't matter to people in power. And so the Black Lives Matter movement is saying, hey, yes, we do matter. We matter as much as anyone else. And we don't deserve to be devalued.
I agree with everything I just heard. and at the same time, when I hear Black Lives Matter, I think the thought that basically comes to me is, what is it going to take to be accepted into this as a part of this country? And then what keeps me grounded is that I still understand that America is still an idea. It's a concept. And we find ourselves, we move at one point, and then whatever causes something to happen, we react to it, and it pushes us back. But it's always a fight. And we see it from our perspective, but I've learned that every person, every race has some issues that they have to deal with. We're not the only ones that have to go through a negative experience. Perception and what we allow ourselves to draw into ourselves makes a difference too. If I wake up with the thought that I'm black, if I wake up with the thought that I'm underweight, if I wake up with the thought that I'm wearing a mustache, and some people don't like mustache. If I put all of these things on me before I step out of that door,
say to start your day off.
Yeah, before I step out of the house, before I walk out that door, I'm already defeated. So I try to move beyond that. But I think what really keeps me rooted is that this is America. And there are so many messages that we get, and we become so decisive about things. People in China, they get the same message. There are different nationalities in this country in comparison to any other place in the world. So it's more difficult to sustain life here in America, even though I still say, with its faults, this is still the greatest, to me, country on the face of the earth. I spent 10 years in the military, and if I was young enough, I'd do those same 10 all over again for this country. Even with like I say, the faults that it has, we still just the struggle continues. And I think it always will. It'll always be some type of struggle that you'll have to contend with.
Heather, do you have anything?
Of course, to reiterate that, but I do have a slightly different perspective. I think that a lot of people have taken Black Lives Matter not literally enough. I think they're always trying to tie it to an organization. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how many people are card-carrying members, contributors to Black Lives Matter, yet there are millions of people out protesting right now who believe that Black Lives Matter. I think we're just not taking it as the statement. Black Lives Matter. When you hear that, it's a statement. It's not meant for you to have a comeback. Besides, yes, they do. I mean, when you start talking about blue lives or all lives or anything else, okay, but that's not really this conversation. This conversation is about Black Lives Matter. I mean, I've seen, multiple memes that, try to break it down for people. And one of the ones I shared, so this isn't mine, this isn't new, people know it. I mean, when you go to a breast cancer walk, do you think any less of lung cancer or colon cancer or brain cancer? No. You don't think anything less of those things. You just know that this particular one is putting the focus on breast cancer to make sure. Now, but guess what? If you were to cure breast cancer, guess what? You're going to help other cancers. So if we could ever, like I say, take it very literally that Black Lives Matter and really try to do what we can to make sure that everybody's on the same page, we can help white people and Asian people and Hispanic people and all kinds of other people, whoever comes here, because we're treating other people with importance and regard. So that's really, I think a lot of people get very distracted very easily by what they see on TV, and then they put that in a group, another generalization that all these people are like that. And we know that's not true. We know it's not true. And if you want to believe and you want to have an open mind, you can see that. And if you want to have a closed mind and a closed heart, you can do that also. And like I said, I think it's a very super simple concept. And I think kind of what reiterating what Lynn said is Black Lives Matter. That means that we're all kind of just at the minimum. We're not trying to say that Black lives mean more than any other race. Guess what? This is zero. And right now, with police brutality, with incarceration numbers out of just insane, not to mention that the levels of justice are not. I mean, you can have the same crime committed by two different people, one white and one black, and you're probably going to have different sentencing guidelines, which then, also then go to the homes that man has come out of, and those children grow up without fathers, or a father who's in prison, and that's their idea of what a father is. And like I said, if we could just really, everybody acknowledge that Black Lives Matter, I think that the whole entire country can do a lot of healing, and we can make each other a lot better just by a simple regard for another human being, no matter what their color is. But right now, Black lives are definitely in danger.